Hi, welcome to another DrumWise Meets, and today I'm here with Bob Richards. Hi, Bob.
Hello, Tom. How are you doing?
So my first question for you today is, what age did you first get into drums, and what bands or artists inspired you?
I was about 2.5 years old when my grandfather gave me a toy kit, and I kind of destroyed it. And then a couple of years later, when I was 4.5, he gave me his kit, which I've still got. And he showed me a couple of basics like singles and doubles when I was a kid, and then when I was 9.5 years old, he said, right, come down the club where he used to play regularly with an organist, you know, so like dance music, sit over there. So I'd sit and watch, and I'd just watch him play foxtrots, rumbas, quick steps, waltzes, whatever. And then he gave me a go. He said, right, come up and you have a go. And that's how I basically got dropped in the deep end at about 9 or 10 years old, you know.
And at that time when you first started, who were your biggest musical inspirations?
Well, at about 10 years old, I didn't really have any, you know. Top of the Pops used to be on every week, and I would see the bands on there. I don't remember seeing Cozy Powell doing Dance of the Devil on there, because I was probably 7 or 8 when that came out, but my mother did buy the single, so we had the single played in the house when I was a kid. I didn't know it was, I just, you know, heard this drum record, you know, and she also bought Black Knight Deep Purple, so that was like, what is this? Do you know what I mean? So, but I played in the clubs for a number of years, like I said, doing foxtrots, rumbas, quick steps and stuff, and we used to get singers coming in, and I'd have to back the singers or the guitar players, or a duo we'd have in or something like that. So and I couldn't read drum music at all. In fact, I only learned to read drum music 28 years ago when I started teaching. So I relied on my instincts. So I relied on these and this on that, scanning everything, listening and feeling everything. So that was basically how I kind of taught myself. And I think it's probably 79, new wave of British heavy metal that came in. Rainbow appeared on Top of the Pops. I think it was Since You've Been Gone All Night Long, one of those videos. And I'm like, who's this? What band is that? The song was phenomenal, the sound was amazing, the singer was incredible, the guitarist was incredible, they were all incredible. The drummer was the coolest drummer I'd ever seen in my life, with the best kit I've ever seen. And then we had a school trip. Somebody said, oh, we're going to see Rainbow in Cardiff. 1980, this was. Yeah, I'm coming. So, of course, that was my first time seeing a major band in a 3,000 capacity hall. And I was 14, yeah, I wasn't 15 at that point. And I was just blown away by it. And then we went to Castle Donington in 1980. I think it was the August the 16th. And Rainbow headlined Donington. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. You know, and I thought, oh, one day I want to play there. You know, I'd love to play on that stage at Donington. And I'd love to be in Rainbow, or even with Graham. But both came true. You know, so I played Download Festival in 2016 with Buck and Evans. And I even wore my Rainbow shirt I bought in 1980 on stage. And it still fitted me. But yeah, and the other one, I worked with Graham 2014. We did a British tour with my Cozy kit, with my favourite singer from my favourite band. And I thought, after that, I don't care if I don't do anything ever again. You know what I mean?
That's very cool.
Because I mean, I've achieved my dream. And then 6 months later, my phone went, "What are you doing tomorrow, Bob?" "Why?" "AC/DC are in London, they're shooting 2 videos and Phil hasn't turned up." "What?" Yeah, and then that happened. 6 months later, I was in the October.
Well, seeing as we've got onto that, let's get talking about that now. So there's a couple of things to talk about there. The Graham Bonnet thing, the cozy kit that's sat behind you, and of course the AC/DC thing. So I don't know. I mean, maybe let's start with the kit because it's sat right there. We can talk about your association with Cozy Powell and the annual event that you put on. And talk about the kit and so kind of talk us through all of that.
Right, so having been a massive Cozy fan since 79, 80, I bought all the records and kind of copied everything he did. I'm obviously a Ian Pace fan as well, as you saw in my pictures, and Vinny Appice. They're my first 3 big influences, So I grew up playing Rainbow and Whitesnake and Purple and Sabbath stuff, all by listening to the records and stuff. The kit, well, obviously Cozy sadly passed away in 1998, I think it was. And the kit came up for sale. I've had it 25 years. So it was June 2000. And a friend of mine called me up and he said, Drum Right in Reading is selling a Cozy Powell Chrome Yamaha. And I was like, a few months later, I brought it home. And there she is. And I was working with a band at the time, and our kind of tour manager knew Cozy's old drum tech, Ashley Williams. So he gave me Ashley's phone number. So me and Ashley hooked up. Ashley lived in Swansea. So I took one of the drums down. In fact, the first rack tom, I took that down. And on the inside badge around the corner, there's a red number 1, because they're both the same size. So Ashley was scratching his chin, and he said, "I used to carry a red marker in my case." So he went upstairs, dug out these 6x4 photographs he took of Cozy from the back on the sliding in tour, and we scanned it in and zoomed in on the picture, and there was the red number 1 on the picture.
Wow.
It was like, boom. So this was the kit that Cozy used on the Slided In Whitesnake tour. And in both videos, Slow and Easy, Love Ain't No Stranger. And he last used it in Rock in Rio in 1985, January 85, in front of like 150, 200,000 people. I know he rehearsed in Emerson, Lake and Powell with it as well, because Ashley told me he took it down. But also did the British tour and Irish, Britain and Ireland with and Europe with Whitesnake Slided In. And in fact, when they played Cardiff, St David's Hall, I was there in the stalls watching Cozy play this. And if someone had told me, "You'll have that," I'd go, "Yeah, right." The Cozy Powell Birthday Bash is basically a celebration of all the bands that Cozy's been involved in, which is like Rainbow, Michael Schenker Group, Whitesnake, Black Sabbath, and Brian May. So we cover 5 of the main bands that Cozy was in. And I bring in a lot of my friends and a lot of kind of peers who get up on stage and play with us, and it's a fantastic evening. It's a long night. I mean, you came to one in the Robin, so you know how long it is.
It was great, though.
And how involved it is.
Yeah. It was brilliant.
But yeah, the 5th one is this. Yeah, it's great fun. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And we get to use the kit, the actual kit. Mike Tirana, obviously, who you mentioned earlier. Russell Gilbrook, who's in Uriah Heep. Harry James from Thunder. They are the stalwarts. We've had Nigel Glockler from Saxon. Ted McKenna. And Chris Glenn, the bass player from Michael Schenker Group, came down. We had Neil Murray from Whitesnake. So for me as a fan, looking to my left and seeing Neil Murray, looking at me, give me a wink, and I'm like, this ain't real. And Tony Martin singing the Sabbath songs in front of me. So it's like messing with my head a bit,
Yeah. It's a
So I
great
can't
event.
kind of yeah. It is. Thank you. Thank you
It's
so
a
much.
great event that you put on, and yeah, people should definitely check it out, and it's worth the journey. I drove from Kent to go a couple of years ago, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and drove home the same evening.
Oh, you must be mad. I got to mention as well. It's all for charity. So everyone is appearing for nothing, and in the profits, I donate to World Animal Protection, which was Cozy's preferred charity, because he was a big animal lover, and so am I. And I didn't want to make money out of this. I wanted to do the event, enjoy it, keep the music alive, keep his name alive, and all profits go to a charity. So it's perfect.
You spoke briefly in there about a certain music video that you did as well, getting a call the day before or a couple of days before, with quite a large band that even the younger drummers of today still know AC/DC. So talk to us about how that happened for you.
Okay, well, it was 2 videos we did, right? It was bizarre. I was sat in my kitchen on a Thursday evening, and my mobile went, and it was a bass player in one of my bands at the time, Ray. Now, Ray's brother still works for AC/DC. He's the drum tech, but now he's like stage manager or something, right? He's gone up in the world, but he's been there 45 years. So he said, my brother called, are you available to go up to London tomorrow to shoot 2 videos with AC/DC? I'm like, really? And he said, yes, I'm not joking. So his brother called me 10 minutes later and said, yeah, it's serious. Can you come up tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. So I took my black Premier kit up and went straight in, met Dick Jones. We set the kit up. First one was a green screen. It was play ball. Then I went to the dressing room and the boys come in. All the band came in with their wives and girlfriends, and they were fantastic. And I didn't feel nervous at all. They were just like talking to mates down the pub. It was bizarre. And we went downstairs and we shot the first video, and I was playing away. I was thinking, how insane is this? But I wasn't nervous. It was just like playing in a pub with your mates. That's what it felt like. And then the next day we shot Rock or Bust in the Round, which was next door. Now they had 500 people from all around the world flown in for that, and they didn't know Phil wasn't there. And I remember saying to Brian, I said, Brian, what are they going to think if I walk out there? And he's like, don't worry about it, man. And I walked down the steps and they just went mad. The crowd went mad. Brian introduced me during the shoot, and they were all shouting, Bob, Bob, Bob. I thought, this is bonkers. And then, of course, they had their phones taken off them. And, of course, when they went out, their phones were handed back, and I was searched. Like, boom, boom. My Facebook went mental. It just didn't stop. It didn't stop. Honest to God.
Wow.
So, and then we went out for a meal that night. Me and Brian and some of the crew. And then Brian invited me to the photo shoot the next day. And then I did some official photos with them. They went with Chris Slade in the end because he'd done it before. And the fans wanted, probably would have been better to have a face they all knew, and something to steady the ship. So, and I was fine with that, and I am fine with it. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, the 2 videos are on YouTube. They probably 76 million views already. So, it's there.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
As some people say, I'm part of the AC/DC family now forever, which is bizarre.
Yeah, forever immortalised in those 2 videos, hey? It's funny because I've got a few students over the years that have played Rock or Bust, and we've got some students that like to play along to the music videos on YouTube. And I hadn't noticed
No way.
I hadn't noticed that it was a different drummer in the video until someone said to me when I met you that night, "Oh, Bob was in those videos." I was like, "No," and I would look back and I was like, "How did I not notice that?" So there we go.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I remember this though. I remember Brian, he kind of looked around in the shot and he said to someone, I turned around and he reminded me of Phil. So it might have been the shape of the hair or something, I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Who takes notice of the drummer these days anyway? You know, so exactly.
The funny thing is
Yeah.
that I do, and I hadn't noticed. Let's just skip back a little bit because we talked about how you got into drumming and stuff. But there's one more question there. What was your first drum kit? Because I think you mentioned it. I think you said you still got it.
I have. As I said, my granddad gave me my first real kit. I think it was late '69. And it was a very old hybrid of Premier, Ajax and Beverly. But it was covered in like an off-white thin plastic stuff, you know. And I ended up spraying it silver and doing all sorts of stuff to it. And I kept it all. But about 4 or 5 years ago, a good friend of mine re-wrapped it for me in white, original white. So it's all kind of refurbed now. But I'm thinking the floor tom, the Beverly, is a late 40s. The bass drum is and the other toms are 50s. And my granddad bought it from his friend and gave it to me then in late '69 when he bought a brand new Premier 303 Grey Shimmer, which I've still got, with the original heads and cases and everything. And that kit was mine until I bought, oh God, let me think about it. It's about 83. I had double Pearl Maxwin. The Pearl Maxwin kits. You probably don't remember that, do you?
I don't remember it, but I know what you mean.
When were you born? No. When were you born?
I don't want to say
When were you born?
on here. Mid-80s.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just saying, you wouldn't remember these drum kits, you see. Yeah, so after the Maxwin, then I had a Pearl Export. Then another Pearl Export after that, which I used when I joined Adrian Smith's band from Iron Maiden. I did a couple of albums on it, I think, so I did a lot of work, that chrome kit, that Pearl chrome kit Export. Then I sold it and got a Premier kit. And I rewrapped it in red glass glitter. And it absolutely blew me away. The sound was amazing. It looked $1 million. And when I took it out to Germany on tour, everybody loved it. And I just got more and more and more. I probably got about 10 or 11 vintage Premiers, all different colours.
Wow.
So I know it's mad. It's mad. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And have you seen my blue sparkle
I have.
WFL kit?
I have actually.
Yes. That was a gift from my friend Paul McManus. He's a lovely, lovely man. And he said, he owns the company. He said, I want to make you a kit. Tell me what you want. So I said, I'll have a Cozy Powell replica in blue sparkles, like a 76 Ludwig thing. And there it is, signed by Bill Ludwig inside and everything, with my name on a plaque. And it's just like,
wow.
It sounds amazing. It's amazing.
Oh, very cool.
I mean, she was set up before this, so you know, I can send you pictures and stuff. So.
Insert photo here.
Yeah.
Now, we touched earlier on some cool stuff you've done in your career, and this is meant to be a tricky question, but what's been the highlight of your career so far?
The highlight of my career, if we go back to when I saw Rainbow on the Down to Earth tour, in Cardiff and Castle Donington on the first Monsters of Rock, I was blown away by The album itself, Down to Earth, is phenomenal. The vocals by Graham Bonnet is just stunning. He's probably my favourite rock singer. Obviously, Richie's my favourite guitar player. Cozy's my favourite drummer. And I thought, I'd love to be in that band, and played on it. And so I played on it, and then 2014, I had a phone call, said, do you want to put a band together to work with Graham Bonnet on a British tour? Yes, please. So I rang Graham up. We had a long conversation on the phone for about an hour and a half, which I still couldn't believe. I'm talking to Graham Bonnet on the phone. And he said, what do you want to play? So I said, well, can we do a set based on the Down to Earth tour? So I gave him the set list. And I took this beast out. So I played Cozy Powell's kit, doing a Rainbow set with Graham Bonnet from Rainbow.
Wow.
And that's it. There's nothing will come close to that. It's, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm such a fan of the band. And opening up with Eyes of the World every night with Graham out front on this still blows my mind. And Graham used to turn and look at me over the tom-toms and pull faces. And I'm like, he used to do that with Cozy. He's like, I mean, the AC/DC thing came 6 months after that. And although that was phenomenal, it didn't touch the Graham Bonnet thing.
Yeah.
And I think about 6 years ago, I worked with Dave Bickler from Survivor. The man who sings on Eye of the Tiger. That was another weird one. We got to play Eye of the Tiger and Burning Heart every night from the Rocky films. And again, it's like, what?
Slightly curveball question here, I suppose. What are your hobbies away from drums?
I like gadgets. I like sci-fi. There's a full-size Darth Vader helmet there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a Stormtrooper helmet there. So, yeah. So that's signed by David Prowse.
Right.
Love nature. Going for a walk down the park with the wife, having a coffee, things like that, And ride my Harley Davidson when it's nice and warm.
Oh, that's a good one. And collecting drums. I mean, I know I said away from drums.
Oh, man.
Surely drums is the biggest. I think it can still be our hobby, even though it's our job.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I always look at eBay and see what's there. And, in my garage, everything's cased. And I'm thinking, I need to do that. I need to refurb that, rewrap that one. I want to build this one. It's never ending. Or I'm looking at guitars. I'm a guitar freak as well.
Now, it's time for the most anticipated question of this kind of podcast interview series. And that is, what's your favourite biscuit?
Chocolate malted milk. If you haven't tried one, try it.
Oh, no, they are very
tea.
good.
But you must have it with tea.
Yeah.
It's better with tea than with coffee.
So, and from what you just said then, so you would dunk the chocolate-covered malted milk then?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So my last question, which is possibly a bit of a deep one here. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, so when you first started playing the drums or getting interested in drums, what would that bit of advice be?
Good question. And I can honestly say, learn to read at a younger age. Stupidly, I thought I don't need to read, but what it does, it opens up other avenues. It just, instead of being like that, you're like that with what you can do. I'm not the greatest reader in the world, but I've had to use it in, some shows and stuff I've done, and I do teach it as well, so I think it's important. Having said that, if I'd have gone down that avenue as a kid learning, I might not have been exposed to the rock music as such. I might have been more with maybe brass bands or something, and it might have took me in a different direction. And then I might not have done what I've done, which is bizarre, you know. So it's a double-edged sword. Mm. But I still think reading is important, you know, to be all-round, you know, rounded player and be able to deal with things. You probably agree with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I always say to my students that, you know, reading is certainly not essential. You know, there are some fantastic drummers out there that can't read, but yeah, it massively like broadens your horizon. You know, means you can do so many more things if you can read, and it's a good way of learning a song as well. You know, to be able to chart it out or to be able to read it from a chart in a book, and to remember it, to help to commit it to memory.
And my memory's really bad. Yeah. I mean, my son, who's started playing the last few years, he puts stuff on his Instagram account, but he doesn't read, but he memorizes the drum parts so well, it's frightening. Mm. And he comes in and plays it on that, or his white Premier, or whatever kit they had, the WFL, and he does his drum covers on Instagram, and they're phenomenal. Mm. And he works out some real difficult parts, playing some odd things, and I'm like, wow, Lewis, how'd you do that? You know, and he doesn't read. He just probably studies some videos, practices in his bedroom on his lap, and comes in and does the videos. So if you've got any young students, just look for Lewis Richards on Instagram. Yeah. And give him a follow.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll put a link to it in the description as well. Yeah, awesome. Bob, thank you so much for giving up your time to do a DrumWise Meets with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.